Hey everybody, OK Fixer. I wanted to get into this. This is a generator for a Volkswagen engine. It's for a Beetle, it's not for a bus. I have a bus generator, it won't fit. And I have several generators that all seem to be 1967 generators, which is kind of odd. 67 has, and I want a period correct generator. And this is 68, 69, 70, probably, yeah, it's about the end of it. So let's have a look at the fossil evidence of this, and we'll see what's going on here. So, no, I'm not going to use this. Why? I'm going to buy all brand new parts, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Let's examine the evidence before we get into this, okay? Let's look at this and let's see what we can glean from this. The first thing I notice is this bolt won't come off, or this nut won't come off, because the end is flayed out. There's a reason for that. Is because the spade terminal goes on there and the round terminal goes on this. It's to keep you from getting them switched up. So it hasn't been boogered up. It's still there. That's a good thing. Number two, does it turn? Does it turn? Yeah, well, a long time ago I threw some WD-40 on this. It does turn. And let's look at our fan. Our fan's pretty important. Let me move you over here just a little bit. Our fan is pretty important. First thing, it's a thin fan. And so that tells me one thing. Well, this is a 12-volt generator also. So that tells me thin fan is going to be, you know, the new engine. Okay? Well, new engine. From the 40 horse, the new engine. Okay, a thin fan. It's going to be the 1300 engine. Okay? Or it's going to be a 15 or 1600. Up to 1970 and 71, they got a fan that's a little bit wider for the doghouse. So this was a single port fan. And if you look at it, you watch it spin, and it's not going like this. The gap isn't getting bigger or smaller, okay? It's nice and smooth. And that tells me somebody hasn't dropped it. That's a good thing. Now the fan's not bent. Let's look at something else. Remember, we're examining fossil evidence. Here is the bottom. Here's where the generators stand. You can see it. Here's the bottom. And the vent is in the correct place. It's highly possible no one has taken this apart yet. Terrific. Okay, so in my idea, this has been taken off a problem engine and has some miles on it, obviously, but it's probably still a perfectly serviceable unit. So the pulley, the generator, the fan, all these parts are original German parts, and clean them up and fix them, they'll be much better than any Chinesium or chrome Brazilian that you can buy. So let's get into this. Be right back. All right, I'm going to do this as cheap as possible. Okay, so we're going to need a little paint. We're going to need a lot of elbow grease. We're going to need 2 new bearings. These bearings I bought on Rock Auto for $1.60 a piece. I know. But they're probably better than the old seized up ones in there. We'll look and see. If they're the original German bearings and we can clean them and grease them, that's fine. But for right now. And then the only brushes I could find were Brazilian brushes. These brushes on Rock Auto were $3, something like that. Not a lot. So we got, you know, with shipping and all, we got 10 bucks into this and a little bit of paint. So let's take it apart and see what's inside. That off. 21mm. Your shims, your cap. Yeah, we're gonna have to clean this all up, but I guarantee you this sheave right here is going to be better than a new one, unless it's German. More of these. Is that going to come off of there? Okay, let's since that's not going to come off right away, let's focus on the back side. Back side is going to be 36mm. Okay, your warpy washer went on this way with these tangs going up, so I'm going to make a mark of that. Then I'll know. I can go back to my video too, of course. Okay. That's not too bad. We'll clean that up. Got some washer here. And we're going to have to take this off. Don't know if that's going to come off of there. Without a puller. Okay, we'll let that sit for a little bit and we'll come right back. She'll come off with a couple screwdrivers. Get that a little bit more, have it off. Diagonal cutters seem to get in there a lot tighter than a pair of pliers will. And you can pull your keyway out. Those are very delicate, and it's very hard to find the correct ones. Even the aftermarket ones just don't seem to fit quite right. There's going to be two washers under here, warpy washers. And remember, the fan goes to the bottom of the generator. Oh, fan opening goes to the bottom of the generator. Set this aside. Here's our other warpy washer. And let's make note on this. Okay, here's our fan bottom, so we will opening. Like that. And our opening is at the bottom, and our nuts are here and here, so we don't get it backwards. Okay, we're going to take this apart. Like this. And we're going to see that this piece has the raw edge. So this is going to be round with 2 holes. And we're going to say flat edge towards fan. And then we'll get it right when we go to assemble it. Okay, I can't get this by hand, so I'll have to break it loose with a ratchet. Get that working. There it is. Sprayed a little WD-40 on it. There she is. She's working now pretty good. The other one's missing the nut. This screw is wrong. It's a wrong screw in there. Possibly. Usually it's a flathead. It's a little... Every one of them I've ever seen was a little flathead. So somebody has lost the screw and put that in there. So this has been off one time or another. Put back on. We'll take the brushes out. They have a screw and a washer. It's neat. The Germans, they put a washer behind everything. And then this flips up like so. And you should be able to take your brush out. And if they're in any kind of shape, let me get a pick. If they're in any kind of shape, we'll use them over, because they're the original German brushes. If they're wore out significantly, and they look like they're wore pretty good. Yeah, they're wore out quite a bit. Yep. Compared to the new ones. Yeah, there's a good 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 inch off of that, probably. So these are wore out quite a bit. So we'll put new ones on it probably. Okay. Nope. Heated it 3 times, tried pulling on it several times. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this bottom of the sheave off here. And then I'm going to try to put a puller on it. I might even slice it right up the center of that's on the shaft there. I might put a little mark on the shaft, but it's not going to really hurt anything. But that's got to come off in order to get it apart. I put the fan back on in order to make a base, so I'll be able to cut that off. It's a shame because that's a good one, but I can't get it off. It just won't come off of there, heating it or not. Oh, there she goes. God, unbelievable. Okay, let me work on that a little more. She's coming off of there finally. Wow. Okay, you live and you learn, right? Right. Well, we don't know until we get into things. So what I did is I ended up, I can use it. I can use it. It's not a problem. But I ended up cutting the shaft here a little bit, and yeah, probably not a good idea. So I got another idea on how to get one of these off of there, and see if that's cool yet or not. What I did is, of course, I cut the other one with a die grinder off to examine it. All right, and it has this collar here, and it's down almost tight around I can't touch this because it's hot, around this edge, but you're able to get in here with a screwdriver on either side like this and wedge the screwdrivers in there, okay? So it's in a bind, you know, wedge it in there, and you can get them pounded in there. And then what I did is I heated this up, and as soon as I started putting heat to it, it went pow, and the screwdrivers dropped. So I know it's loose now. So that's how to get one of these off of there. That's the ticket. That's the ticket on how to get one off. You have to get up there like that, and then get them pushed in there, and then put some heat on that, and that'll pop off there. What I'm going to use this armature in the other generator. Same generator, same setup, only it's set up as a 67. And like I said, I got 2 or 3 of these 67s. Why, I don't know. They're hard to find, but I seem to have them. Weird. Okay, let's get that off of there, and we'll start disassembling the generator. There's 2 bolts right here, one here and one here, and you can get on either side of this with a screwdriver like this and pry against them. There she is, and it'll come off. Now that's going to be hot. I might be able to even make that work again. Clean it up good enough. I might be able to make that work again, and it is not boogered up, and the shaft isn't boogered up either. That's the way to do it. So you can see, let me flip this over. You can see right here, and you can see right here and right here where I got in there with a sharp screwdriver, and I tapped it in there like that, and I got a little bind on it. So it was in a bind. And then it was in a bind like that, and then I heated this area up right here, and as soon as I heated that up, pow. That's the way to do it now. Now I know, and now you know. Okay, crack these nuts loose. Not nuts, but bolts. Then we're going to take the armature out this way, and this whole cap and piece is going to come off, because this cap won't come off. It's wired to the top here, or it's connected. There's some wires connecting to it, so we don't need to take it off. We just drive the armature out of it. Okay, let me get this set up for you. That should just come right off of there then. Okay, that's going to come off like that. It's going to be a little collar here. Goes in here. These two screws, we're going to take these two screws out. Take this collar out. Going to put a little socket in there and pound that bearing out. Broke the bearing. All right, here are our two armatures. This is going to be the 67. This is going to be 8, 9, or 70. They're both the same. Let me tell you something. Taking this front bearing off, you better have a puller of some sort. You better have the proper bearing puller to pull that off. It doesn't want to come off. It just does not want to come off. I ended up having to break the race and cut it. I ended up cutting into my armature. I can still use this. All I got to do is fix the threads on it. It's still usable if I got in a pinch, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use this armature, and I got lucky with this one that come out of the 67 because it has a nice bearing on the front. The rear bearing was really, that's not the rear bearing for it. No, it was this one. It was almost, you almost can't turn it. This bearing's pretty nice. What I might do is I might soak that in a little dish of oil and see if I can't get some oil in it and rotate it a little bit, maybe, and that'll make it even better. But it rotates right now and doesn't have any hang-up, so it still has grease in it. We'll put a new bearing on the back of this. All right, let me get this giant goat screw cleaned up, and I'll lay all the parts out in the order of assembly. I'm going to have to clean them all, though, so it's going to be a little while, which will be about this long. Alrighty then, I've cleaned up my parts, and I kind of did a little quickie on them with a little rattle can, and we're going to assemble this in our next video. Let me think here. The armature, you have to be careful when you clean up the commutator. If you use a wire wheel on it, say if you put, like one of those rotating wire wheels on a grinder, and if you get up on it, it'll smear it over if you're not real careful. You have to be really careful. So what I recommend going over this with emery cloth, and go over it both ways, because when you put your generator together and you start your car up, if you've got a ridge on this, your brushes will go like this. Yeah, right down to nothing. It'll saw the brushes right off of it. So you gotta make sure your commutator is smooth. It doesn't have any ridge on it. And you can work out in between the mica with the razor blade. So there you go. And it's kind of I just kind of cleaned up our bearing surfaces and stuff. I've oiled this bearing. This bearing is it's very sweet, very nice, rolls really nice. It's the original one. I think we're just going to keep that. Again, this is the armature out of our 67 generator, but we're going to use it in the new one. It's the same armature because I boogered the other one up, getting it all apart. What you going to do? Okay, this is going to be the end of this video, and look for part 2 to assemble it. Should be just like that. See you later.